Good afternoon. Welcome to the Wild Bunch Talk Show, episode 3 by Chief Jones. I'm here with Coach Taylor Genuser.
Yes, sir. You said it right. Absolutely.
Head coach for the San Diego Strike Force indoor football team, arena team, and the head coach for, not the head coach, the offensive coordinator for Helix and the head coach for the Strike Force.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you having me. I'm excited to be here with you guys. I watched the first 2 episodes, and I'm loving the vibe.
Yeah, man. You was the third person. You was the third person to say you wanted to get in on this. So I appreciate you because you was one of the people that helped me get this started as well. So appreciate that, man. So, growing up, not actually from San Diego, from Clovis. Me being a kid from California, where the hell is that at?
So Clovis is just right outside of Fresno. I moved up there, when I was in 2nd grade. But, yeah, I spent most of my time in the Fresno area. Grew up a Fresno State fan and stuff like that. Always kind of rooted for them. But I've had family in San Diego, and I've always tried to make my way down here, and I finally did it when I was about 28. So I finally made it happen.
For sure. So being a Fresno, have you ever heard of David Dunn? Like, did you hear David Dunn before you got to San Diego?
I got a crazy story about Coach Dunn.
Go ahead.
All right, so I was coaching in an all-star game in, I believe it was 2011. It was the Cal State game. I'm probably 20 years old, and Coach Dunn was the head coach. So it was super random. I ended up kind of getting on his staff. I met Coach Dunn. I met Armand, and it was really cool. So I met Coach Dunn a long time ago, and then when I moved down here, I actually reached out to him, and he said he remembered me and stuff like that, and it was cool getting to know him when I was at Mesa and recruiting and stuff like that, crossing paths again. So I know Coach Dunn's a legend up there.
Okay, for sure. Yeah, he's definitely a Fresno, Bakersfield. I think he just got inducted to the Bakersfield Hall of Fame or something like that, if I'm not mistaken, because he did go JUCO out there. So, Coach Dunn is a guy out there. So growing up in Clovis, it's real hot out there, right? Got to.
Hot, real hot.
Like desert type shit?
Yeah, pretty much. We're in a valley. It gets real hot. Air quality's bad. So I feel like, if you come out of Fresno, you have a little bit of toughness to you, but I lost it all when I moved to San Diego.
For sure. So did you play youth ball coming up?
So it's kind of cool. You start playing for your elementary school in 5th grade. So I played elementary ball, fed into our junior high, and then I ended up going to Buchanan High School. But, yeah, a lot of us played together since we were in 5th grade.
That's interesting. For your elementary school. And it was like free and everything?
Yeah, so it was free, you know what I'm saying? The only weird part was it was like an 80-yard field and we couldn't wear cleats. But, I mean, hey, we were out there banging, though. I mean, it was some good football.
For sure. And what position?
I played quarterback my whole life.
So you was quarterback your whole life then?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yeah,
a lot of people will always, my experience, well, no, quarterback is one position where they always play quarterback pretty much their whole life. But a lot of cases, like they'll play youth D-line and end up being a running back somehow or something like that. I'm pretty sure we all know a couple of those guys, but quarterback through and through, huh?
Absolutely. I was a wannabe receiver. Part of my conditioning as a quarterback, I'm like, man, I'm not trying to run these sprints. I'm going to run the route tree. So I always got the receiver with the best arm to throw me some routes. And I was like, oh, hey, man, I got a few routes in me, but no, I couldn't run like those guys.
Okay, for sure. So you said the elementary, so everybody from the elementary went to the same junior high?
Yeah, so I want to say it's 7 elementary schools that all played each other, and we fed into the same junior high, and then that junior high feeds into the high school. That's kind of how it works in Clovis Unified up there.
Okay. So is there like a lot of transfers and stuff up there? Is it like that up there, or does it everybody just they went to that school and they're going to go to that high school and it's just what it is?
Back when I was playing, we all kind of stayed together. But a few years after, kind of when I got into coaching up there, I call it the high school transfer portal, kind of got in the full swing.
Okay. For sure. So your high school, you said it was named what?
Buchanan High School. So you guys may have heard of Buchanan because it's the home of the state track meet.
Okay, yeah. Yep, definitely. Okay, how was high school?
High school was cool. I want to say there was about 4,000 kids in my high school. It was a giant school. I was not necessarily an academic All-American, so I had to take the JUCO route. But, got a good education in Clovis and stuff like that, and definitely a good place to go to school.
So your JUCO experience, where did you go to JUCO at?
So I started off at Reedley College, and then I ended up transferring to a better situation. I went to college at Sequoias my sophomore year. And that's actually how I got linked up with that All-Star game and met Coach Dunn. But yeah, I had a great experience at COS, College of Sequoias, and shoot, it's the reason I got a scholarship to play 4-year ball. So I credit a lot of it to that school.
Okay. And then I seen you went to New Mexico Highlands?
New Mexico Highlands, yeah, Division II school. So we are known as the school that gets all the bounce backs and all the best JUCO players with no grades. That's pretty much what we were.
Yeah, so one of my friends from high school, Christian Johnson, I think he ended up doing some time over there. Like, he was a pretty good guy, and, you know, like you said, a lot of guys that similar situations like that, they end up at that school. But so how was your playing experience there?
It was really cool. You know, I ended up winning the starting job in a very talented quarterback room, and of course I tore my knee up in the first game. Tried to come back game 3, played well, but hurt it worse, and then I was out the rest of that year. But I had a good experience there. It was just tough living out there, and you know, if those of you don't know too much about Division II scholarships, not everything's always covered. So I ended up having to come home after that season for some, you know, financial reasons and stuff like that. But I had a good experience playing wise. My coaches were really good, especially on the offensive side of the ball. So I really learned a lot from those guys, which is kind of the offense I'm running today.
Yeah, I agree. My defense is kind of like what my high school coach did, with what my college coach did, also with what my uncle did in youth. You know, I take like a little bit of everything, and I just put it into mine. You know what I'm saying? So I think every coach takes a little bit of what they did and just put their little twist on it and all the little research and stuff like that.
No, absolutely.
So, did you play after college?
Yeah, so I ended up jumping in playing indoor. So I played 4 years of indoor football, and I actually loved every second of it. Obviously, the pay wasn't crazy good, but I had a really good experience kind of playing after high school and meeting a lot of contacts and coaches, and I just had a great time, to be honest with you. I played that for 4 years. I signed for a 5th year, and then I just kind of got into coaching after that. But, yeah, so I played 4 years. I've been to every state that nobody wants to go to. So that's kind of how the indoor football vibe is.
I got you. Nah, man, for people who don't know, man, the arena game, it is a really good, it's a fun, entertaining product. You know, of course, it's not the league and everything, but if you don't got nothing to do and you got some time to spare, you like watching football and some entertaining football, arena is where it's at, man. You know, get you a cold one and just watch it, man. It's no defense, so you go see scoring all game, 60s, 70s. I've never seen a game lower than like 40, and that's a low scoring game to me in an arena game.
No, for sure. That's a super low scoring game. You know, my goal is always, if we can hold teams under 40, we should be able to win every single time.
That's funny just hearing that, bro.
Yeah, it's wild. The rules do not help the defense. There's rules telling the linebackers where they can stand, telling the safety where he can stand.
You can't stunt with the line, nothing. Like,
Nope.
It's crazy.
None of that. So that's the thing. That's the thing about O linemen is, like, if you can prove that you can win your big matchups, and also for D linemen, if you can beat somebody 1-on-1, you're gonna get a look at that next level, especially at that line spot.
For sure. So, you touched on arena. What cities did you play in?
Okay, so my rookie year, I was in Erie, Pennsylvania. Froze my tail off. I was probably the only person in Pennsylvania without snow boots. So, yeah, that was kind of a tough time for me there, but that was a real fun rookie year. We won the championship, so that was a good experience. And then my next year, I was actually in 3 places. I was in Billings, Montana. Absolutely got the crap knocked out of me. Got a nice little concussion. Ended up leaving, and I went and played for the Duke City Gladiators in Albuquerque. And then, you know, I planned on staying there the rest of the year, but then the Iowa Barnstormers called me, and I ended up playing the second half of the year with them. And that was arguably my best playing experience I've ever had when it comes to, you know, how they treated us, the fans, and all that stuff. And I feel like I played some pretty good football there too.
Didn't Kurt Warner play there?
He sure did.
I remember hearing that. I was a huge Rams fan, so Marshall Faulk was my favorite player, so that was his quarterback. So I remember hearing the Iowa, was it Barnstormers?
Barnstormers, yes, sir. Yep.
For sure. So, you touched on it a little bit. You said after your arena, you pretty much went right into coaching.
Yeah, I ended up playing for one more team after the Barnstormers. I played for the Sioux City Bandits, and after that year, I was going to sign to play for a team in Texas, and I got offered a head JV coaching job. So the cool part was when I was playing indoor in the springtime, I'm playing. When I came back in the fall, I was coaching high school football as a varsity pass game coordinator. So I was able to coach during my whole time playing. So, that 5th year I was going to go play, I was like, you know what, I'm going to dive all into this coaching stuff.
And how old were you at this time?
I was 27. Yeah, I was 27 when I ended up retiring.
Young coach, man, young coach. So, so what made you get into coaching? Was it just you loving the game and just being a quarterback? You just knew after I'm done playing, I'm probably going to end up coaching?
I grew up in a household where my dad was a coach. He coached youth football. He coached, high school. He was a really good, like, freshman JV level type coach when it comes to developing players and all that kind of stuff. But for me, just being a quarterback, I felt like I was coaching every day, just kind of making sure, our receivers are in the right spot and all that kind of stuff. So I just felt like if I'm going to invest all this time into this my entire life, why am I going to go to college and learn how to do something else? I'm just going to keep doing this football stuff.
I feel you. I can relate to that. My dad was also a coach, so I'm a coach's kid. Coached me all throughout youth, pretty much till I got to high school. You know what I'm saying? So that can be a blessing and a curse. So how was that experience for you between you and your dad?
I liked it. We had kind of a different clash in philosophies, like not in a bad way. He was a I formation, 22, 21 personnel. We're going to pound the rock. I'm like, Dad, I want to throw this thing. You know what I mean? So I was a little more spread. So it was a good balance. I've come a long way with how I call plays now. It's not let's throw the ball 50 times a game. So it was definitely a good balance, kind of learning that side of football versus the stuff that I learned from, my more modern coaches and stuff like that.
Got you. My dad, so a lot of people think that that their coach always wants the kid to be the best player and they don't hold him accountable and all that stuff. I know you probably have a different opinion about that as well, right?
My biggest thing was I only played for my dad once or twice, and it was at the youth level. And I know the biggest thing with him is he was fair. And I remember when he did coach me, there were 2 quarterbacks, and we literally took 50% of the reps. My dad actually threw me a linebacker a few times, and I'll never forgive him for that. I was not trying to play any of that. But, no, he was definitely very fair. But I already kind of know how it is, in some other programs and stuff like that. Sometimes, the coach's kid mentality kind of takes over.
Yeah, but I mean, I kind of think I kind of have the opposite view. I don't think there's nothing wrong with it as long as you do it the right way. Of course, there are a couple that probably abuse that authority and stuff like that. But I think with my dad, I had a good experience. I think what my dad did, he always made sure that I wasn't the best player. He went out and got my homeboy Tyree Davis, my homeboy Jordan Ward, the homie Snoop. He always got guys that made sure that they were better than me. And I always had to work for what I had, so I never had to go through none of that where people always thought coaches was playing the favorites and stuff like that. So I think I thank him for that because he did it the right way, and then it instilled competition to me that you always going to have to work for what you got, no matter if your dad is the coach or not. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate Pops for that.
Oh, those are the best coaches, the ones that are fair. You know what I mean? Regardless, like the coaches that are fair are the ones that are going to take you the furthest. And that's real that you were in that situation where, you have ballers around you and you had to earn what you got.
Mm-hmm. So, getting into coaching, how did you end up in? So you said you ended up, you always wanted to come back to San Diego, but how did you end up coming back to San Diego? Was that for coaching, or you just decided I'm gonna pick up and move and come to San Diego and figure it out from there?
So it was for coaching. So it's funny. I kind of used this opportunity, and it worked out really well. So the San Diego Strike Force was starting, and I made a call. I said, look, I just want to see what positions you have available, and the offensive coordinator position was open. So I ended up getting an interview, and I was like, I'm going to make a full move. I'm not coming back to Fresno if I get this job. So I had a few connections to Helix, and I ended up getting in touch with Coach Owens, and it's pretty cool because I pretty much had a job at Helix before I even moved down here. I had to meet with Coach O and stuff like that, but I moved down here because of the Strike Force and used that situation as an opportunity to get with Helix too. So it all kind of worked out great.
Okay. So now let's get into the Strike Force. You being the head coach and everything. what is your vision for the Strike Force, and how do you plan to make it bigger in San Diego?
So my vision is just to get the community involved. Unfortunately, we didn't do a very good job early on as an organization with, telling people about the Strike Force. In the last 2 years or so, we've really gotten the word out. We've put a much, much better product out there. And the biggest thing that I want to achieve as a head coach is put local fans in the seats and, put a product out there that people will be proud of. We've got some bigger name players, from bigger schools the last couple of years, and it seems like the fan engagement has been really good. We've got a lot of really good people on our roster and in our organization and stuff like that. So we're just trying to be more exciting and stuff like that. And I'm tired of being little brother to other teams. Like, we're trying to really make the playoffs and make a run and, be a staple franchise in our league. So obviously it all sounds good, but that's what we're trying to achieve and trying to accomplish. And, something that I did do was hire some more local coaches, and I feel like that's really helped us a lot with getting the word out about the team.
Yeah, like I said earlier, it really is a good product. You guys do a good job of putting out a good product, a good entertaining product. So us as a city, let's get out and support them. Tickets are real cheap. It's not an arm and a leg. Let's go out and support, for our city, and let's support these guys putting on for our city. I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of mad at you guys a little bit earlier because y'all got my boy Rudy Johnson over there. That was my high school quarterback, man, and that dude's a winner. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? He's a winner. He's a guy, and I feel like y'all was doing him dirty. You know what I'm saying? But we good now. We chalked it up. Y'all put him in, and he did his thing. Y'all got to see what he can do. So we good. You know what I'm saying? But that's my boy. So y'all make sure y'all take care of my boy. You feel me?
Rudy is the definition of a perfect teammate. Mm-hmm. The thing with Rudy, he's big time in real estate now. He's big time. So we had kind of a good agreement that he was going to be our backup and really get in there and help us out in short yardage and do some stuff on special teams. And there was a game where he had to start and play the whole game, and Rudy threw a Hail Mary, and it's crazy because, like, if you guys ever need teaching tape for your receivers on how to be ready for a deflected pass, turn on that tape. Rudy got it to the end zone, the ball tipped up, we caught the ball and extended the game to overtime, and then Rudy took us down and we won it in OT, in double OT. So I'll never forget that from Rudy. He's a winner, and he's one of the best teammates I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, he's a good teammate. He's an even better human being. He's saying he's a real good dude. Another coach's kid. His pops was a coach. His pops was our OC. He can dial it up too. I'm trying to get him into coaching, but like you say, he's doing his real estate thing right now, being a business mogul. So trust, believe, I hollered at him too whenever he's ready to get with me, and we gonna try to get him over there at the Hive to come help us out.
Absolutely. One quick thing about Rudy, this whole offseason, he's been throwing with Ryland. So he comes out and kind of works with our guys and throws routes. And Rudy's so competitive. Like, he's a little bit older, for indoor, and he's out there competing like he's 23.
Nah, man, he loves the game, bro. Like, that's one Rudy. He always loved the game. His senior year, I don't know if he ever talked to you about this, but CIF kind of did him his senior year. He wasn't able to play his senior year, so that kind of hurt him. You know what I'm saying? But he still got to school. Went to Texas Southern, I think, first, but then ended up going to Winston-Salem. Took them to, I think, the playoffs or something like that. And he did his thing, though. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, he's always a winner, and he loves the game. Very knowledgeable. So if he's coming out with your quarterback, just tell him to listen because he knows what he's talking about. You know what I'm saying? And then he's a quarterback, too, so I can see why you guys have that connection.
No, 100%.
So we talked about the Strike Force. Let's talk about your experience at Helix now, coming to one of the top schools in San Diego, come like pretty much as your first job in San Diego. How is it being at Helix?
I absolutely love it. I mean, the tradition and the culture kind of says everything it needs to say. My biggest thing is I'm a part of a program bigger than me because they've been playing football for a long time and doing it at a high level. And, that's my biggest thing is when I came in 2019, I learned a lot from Coach Owens. Coach Owens, his offensive philosophy is the exact opposite of mine. So I learned a ton under him, just kind of, with shifts, motions, pulling people, all that kind of stuff. And I felt like when I was there as just someone in the booth, kind of helping him out with looks and stuff like that, I got better as a coach from that experience. And then I ended up leaving and going to Mesa College for 2 years. But when I had the chance to come back to Helix and be the offensive coordinator and work under Demaja, it was a tremendous honor. And I've had nothing but an awesome experience there, and I'm telling you right now, Coach Demaja is the real deal. He's awesome, and he's taking that program where it needs to be.
So was you on the staff when we played in CIF?
I'm sick to my stomach. I had a game at Mesa. I couldn't be there. Hey, I'm literally sitting in the booth, like, getting text messages from people at Helix about that game, and I was like, oh, I just want to be there, but I heard nothing but crazy things from that one.
Yeah, man, I'm still mad about that game, man. We cool now, but I'm just I can't wait to play y'all again because, feel me, I need that. We need that, so.
I feel you. I've never gotten to coach against Lincoln, and I think that would be a lot of fun. I feel like I've coached against pretty much every big program in San Diego except Lincoln. So, the competition, I would absolutely love that. Just to be able to have played every big school here would be definitely an honor.
Respect every opponent, you know what I'm saying? But just be granted. Make sure y'all be granted because, like I said, I need that rematch. I really need to play y'all, man. I think about that stuff all the time. Every offseason since that game, I've watched that game like the first time. Like, I'm so mad. You feel me? So
you gotta get it. Turn that on later.
We gotta get it, bro. We gotta get it. Being at Helix, I feel like you guys kind of have like that heat culture, like you said, real strong culture. It's bigger than you. You know what I'm saying? So, me being from San Diego, knowing that from the outside in, that's one thing we're trying to build at Lincoln. You know what I'm saying? So, what do you think goes into you guys building that culture? What do you think goes into that culture and keeps it stable? And be able to sustain it for such a long time?
I think it's just consistency. Like, whoever the head coaches are, like, understand what they're walking into. Because, regardless of how good of a coach you are, the coach before you has won. So you understand that you have to be a winner if you're going to take over that job. And, another thing is our staff, I think some of them have been around since the mid to late 2000s. So they've kind of seen a lot of the program. Coach Demaja was a player. He was there with Reggie Bush and Alex Smith and all those guys. So he's been a part of it. So I think it's just alumni and coaches and people involved with the school just keeping consistency and just kind of keeping everything rolling.
So the main thing is consistency. Consistency from the top down. Got you. So being at a school like Helix, you guys get a lot of those top youth players and stuff like that. In my opinion, a lot of youth players, parents, the expectation to get on varsity so fast as a freshman, it seems like parents and some players' parents, they're not willing to trust the process anymore. You know what I'm saying? Have you guys dealt with that at Helix?
Yeah, and you know what? That's kind of every place I've been, I've kind of dealt with that. The biggest thing at Helix is it's not the easiest to get into. So, you got to get on the lottery and stuff like that. And, if you do get into the school, it's definitely, like, outside of football, it's a great school, and you have to be, pretty good academically. But, we have seen certain kids come in and out of our program for playing time reasons and stuff like that. And it's tough because, we want a chance to help develop these kids. But, if they are good enough to play early, like, we will play them. We're not just trying to keep kids down. Like, if you can help us play, we're going to pull you up. Just yesterday, our JV team didn't have a game, so we pulled up 3 or 4 kids just to kind of give them that varsity experience and the Honor Bowl experience. So that's the biggest thing we want is to develop kids. But if that's not enough for you, then maybe Helix isn't the program for you. But that's our biggest thing is developing kids, and when it's your time, we're going to throw you in there. So
you touched on the academic part and stuff like that, but what people don't understand is some of their – in order to be a freshman, to play at that level of like a Helix, you guys don't play an easy schedule. You know, you guys have to go and play some guys. So to take, you know, a freshman who's just he might have the athletic ability, but his body might not be ready for that punishment. And then so they don't understand that you're probably trying to help you're trying to help them, you know, because it's about safety as well. They just don't, you know. Josiah Cox didn't play varsity as a freshman. Don Chapman didn't play varsity as a freshman. Keyshawn Smith didn't play varsity as a freshman. You know, there are kids who have to trust the process, and there's still a way to get to that ultimate goal rather than just going and having to play freshman right away. You know, and I just think that's lost. Like, you had to be real special. Like, your body had to have your body had to mature. You know what I'm saying? Like, you had to be a guy. Like Dylan Baxter was one guy who was a freshman when he actually went to Horizon in middle school, but then my coach wasn't going to play him. He just had a strict rule, like no freshmen are playing varsity, and he ended up going to Mission Bay. Gotcha. And he went to Mission Bay and killed it. But he was a kid who had the ability and the body, because he already had the size to go play varsity football. You know what I'm saying? Chris, you shaking your head, man. What's going on, man? You got a Dylan Baxter story?
Oh, I don't have a mic. I don't have a camera on this one. Yeah, I've never. When Montali was in here and I was able to flip off and shake my head at Gaffney, at least that was because I was able to get my hands on him before he proceeded to break one of my ribs. Two people, and you'll understand both of these references, one being Baxter and the other one being Robbie Rouse. Oh, yeah. I never even got a hand on them. Yeah. They were there in front of me for 1 second, and then they were 40 yards down the field doing the Michael Irvin high stepping into the end zone. Really demoralizing when you try to do that for several years, and you just, like, I don't even think I've actually physically ever touched Dylan Baxter, despite attempting to tackle him several dozen times.
Robbie was actually my running back on the Barnstormers.
Yeah, no, so, Robbie Rouse is another reason. Robbie, though, isn't afraid of contact. Yeah. I might have flinched a couple of times when Robbie was, like, giving me the head fake in.
He's a dog.
You know, yeah, he's another one.
Yeah, people don't understand how good Robbie Rouse was either. Like, Madison to me, he's the best back to come out of Madison. Out of all those back, you know, they had Robbie, Pierre, Keenan Christian.
I would say Robbie Rouse is a top 10 back to come out of San Diego.
I think so. Robbie was definitely that guy.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure he's still Fresno State's all-time leading rusher. You know, he's a dog.
Matthews didn't get it?
No, Robbie got it.
Okay, for sure. But kind of back talking on that freshman to varsity, people trying to rush to that from freshman to varsity to be a freshman on varsity so fast. I just think people need to trust the process and understand that a kid still needs to develop and grow, especially at a program like Helix or Lincoln.
Can we just real quick? I want to jump back and close the loop on Robbie Rouse. Robbie Rouse ended his college career with 1,600 yards more than Ryan Matthews, and 1,240 more than anyone else at Fresno State.
Yeah, he's somebody that definitely should have got a shot in the league. He definitely should have got a shot. Size does not matter. He had the heart. He can run between tackles. He can make you miss. He'll dip the shoulder. There's no reason why he couldn't have like a Darren Sproles type career.
Well, you should have seen him as my teammate. All I had to do was check the ball down. I knew we had a chance of scoring a touchdown. That dude was crazy.
No, open space. He'll make people miss. Yep. Miss terribly. He'll make people miss terribly.
Absolutely. And if you don't mind me commenting on the whole freshman thing, we've got a great example of a freshman from last season. So we had Brandon Arrington. Brandon ran a 10.500 last year, and he's a freshman. He was a freshman last year. He played, I want to say, 7 freshman football games. And Damaja told me, he's like, all right, you can have him this week. All right, okay, cool. So it's before Grossmont, league game. Obviously, there's a lot on the line versus Grossmont, regardless of, what their record was. And we throw him in there, kind of barely knew our varsity plays and stuff like that. And I'm like, hey, bro, go straight. Go finish in that end zone for me, man. First play was a bomb for a touchdown. Rylan found him, 60-yard touchdown, and that kind of set the tone for his career. But it's funny when we look back and talk about it, he really developed at that freshman level, and when he got his chance to come to varsity, he showed us he was that dude. So that's the biggest thing, is kind of just trusting us coaches. You know, if you have trust in us with your kid coming into the program from the get-go, that we're going to make the right decisions for your kids.
Like you said, man, trust your coaches. Coaches, if you go put the kid in the program, trust the coach that he knows what to do, and he's going to take the time to do the best thing for your kid. You know, just trust him. Another kid, so we have a kid this year, Prince. You know, he's 6'2", 6'3", big kid. You know what I'm saying? 230, 220, 225, 230, freshman kid. But, like, people don't understand, like, it's a difference when you're the biggest, strongest kid on the field in youth, and then you got to come in high school and play with some technique. You know what I'm saying? He's getting in the mix now, but even he has to, you know, he has to understand the hold. He has to understand leverage, the little things. He's not going to make every play. Those are some of the things that those young guys have to understand coming up to a high school level. You know what I'm saying? And, like, you know, we got other kids that they see kids from other programs. You can't compare your situation to somebody else's situation. And I think that is one of the main things that these kids struggle with, not even with playing right away, but just even with offers. They'll see a kid get an offer, and they're like, man, why is he getting an offer? Like, my kids used to text me that. I used to be like, man, if you text me about why is another kid getting an offer, and I'm going to slap the dog, you know what, out of you. Yeah. You feel me? Just trust it. You know what I'm saying? Your time gonna come. One kid that was like that was Chris Freewell. You know what I'm saying? Because he was a real talented kid. You know, he played edge, he played linebacker, he played nickel, and he was down at times because he wasn't getting no offers. I'd had to tell him, like, dude, trust the process. Your time is gonna come. And then when his time came, you know, it was that much better because he just took the time and worried about himself. So that's one other thing I can say is just don't compare your kid's situation to somebody else's situation. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got kids now that aren't suiting up. You know, we might suit them up playoffs, we might bring them up, but whatever that is, that's Dunn's call. But, you know, if it happens, it happens, and then if it doesn't, we'll try again next year. You know what I'm saying? But because, like, a kid like Josiah Cox, when we played Cathedral, you know, JoJo played he played JV, suit up for varsity his whole sophomore year. And then we were playing the COVID year. We played Cathedral. They was whooping us, and some guys was getting hurt. So I had to throw him in. And Cathedral, they run that wing T so fast. So they ran like that trap, and they ran it so fast, and he literally like just moved like this, like didn't move. You feel me? That was all he did, and they scored like that fast. And I'm like, what happened? He was like, really? You wasn't lying about how fast that stuff is. And I'm like, yeah, I'll be trying to tell you, like, you know, I don't be lying when I be yelling at practice on the scout team to get lined up and snap the ball that fast, because that's really how it is. But I say that to say, like, you know, stuff like that is what separates different levels. So you're going to need to trust that process and develop a little bit more to get ready to play those type of teams and play that level of football. You know what I'm saying? I think parents just need to understand that and just trust. If your kid is like that, it's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? Rather, you don't need 4 years of varsity film to get recruited. Yeah. How many times of stories do we hear of guys that played just their senior year of high school and still end up at crazy programs like BYU and Arkansas and everywhere else? You know, like I said, so just trust the process, man.
No, absolutely. And, you know, it's funny because every kid's situation is different. You know, the quarterback position is one where, you know, you get a lot of kids moving around because they're trying to find the right situation and stuff like that.
To play right away,
you know, and sometimes that's tough. Like, you know, maybe you are next, or maybe you got to go compete with somebody. But if you get beat out, what are you going to do next? And that's the kind of the tough part in high school football and even college football right now is it's a lot of it's circumstance. It doesn't necessarily have to do with how good you are. It's how good are you in that program. And it's that kind of situation. And that can be tough for people to understand.
Yeah. But so we touched on that. So how are you feeling about your season right now, this 2023 season with Helix?
I'm feeling pretty good. I mean, you know, we're 3-0. There's a lot of sloppy stuff kind of we're putting out there on film. I'm happy we're able to finish games. You yesterday kind of told me a lot about our team. I think we had like a 17-play drive to kind of run the clock out in the fourth quarter yesterday.
17?
Something like that.
He's driving that ride.
So, that to me, that kind of showed us that, we're tough and, we can do that if we need to. But by no means was it a pretty drive. There's some sloppy stuff going on. But, when we threw the touchdown on third down, that said a lot about how hard these kids have been working, that we're able to sustain something like that. But we got a lot of things we got to clean up if, we want to see the Lincolns of the world in the playoffs and stuff like that.
Oh, man, y'all on y'all way.
How are you feeling, Coach?
How am I feeling?
Yeah, how are you feeling about you guys?
Man, I'm trying to avoid that question. We're a young team, man. My defense is young. Even in the wins, you go back on the film and you just see so much stuff that just makes your stomach turn. Like, oh, what are we doing? You know what I'm saying? But we're having some slow starts. But second half, once we settle down, control our emotions a little bit, and we get to it, then I think then that's when we take off. But I think now we got to work on starting fast and finishing fast, and not starting slow and finishing fast, because those slow starts sometimes can hurt you because they'll put you in a bigger hole, too big of a hole to come back from.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? This next stretch of games going to be pretty tough for us. We got Mater Dei coming up, but then after Mater Dei, we got Cajon, Inglewood, and then we open up league, I think, with Cathedral and Madison. So this is our stretch right here where we got to start playing our best football and put it together. Defensively, I'm replacing 5 DBs. You know what I'm saying? So it's tough with that right now. If I had to point out a weakness right now, it'd probably be my DBs. My front is real solid right now because all those guys returned. And then so Journey and Eugene and Rashad Scott, those guys were freshmen. You know what I'm saying? They were freshmen 2 years ago, and they played since they were freshmen. So now the weakness of my defense is the strength of my defense, and what was my strength of my defense is my weakness. So now I got to change up a little bit of things on my end, change up how I call my plays. Sometimes I forget that it's not the last year's defense. I got to change it up. You know what I'm saying? So that's one thing I'm in conflict with me. But, I think we have a chance to make another good run. We want that open again. We hear that Carlsbad talk right now, so wouldn't mind seeing Carlsbad again, but like I said, I do want to see y'all again. And then, as far as that other 4 team, I really don't know. We'll see how it plays out.
I mean, that's a goal of ours, our schedule, with the whole point system, however it still blows my mind.
I hate it. I hate it.
It's so funny. We have a coach on our staff who's really good at following.
Hey, we got Brian. We got a coach too, but
Coach Veal.
He knows every point system. Like it's like 3 weeks going into the playoffs. Like, okay, what happens if this team wins? And he just has every answer. You know what I'm saying? So it's good for every staff to have a coach that understands that system. But it's just not going to be me because I hate it.
I ain't trying to deal with any of that. Like, okay, are we good to go? Yes or no? Oh, if you got this, got that. No, that's not what I asked. We good to go?
Yeah. The best thing for me is just like, let's just win, and then you don't have to worry about it. Exactly. When you lose, that's when you start having to worry about it. If you just win, then you don't have to worry about it. You'll get in.
Exactly. But no, we definitely want the chance to go to the Open. It was awesome because in 2019 when I got here, I got the opportunity to be a part of an Open Division title, and I mean that was one of the coolest experiences I've ever had. I didn't call a single play that year, you know what I mean, but the fact that I was a part of that staff was incredible. And as a coach, as a play caller, and a competitor, like I want the chance to play with the big dogs, be in that top 4. But obviously it's a week by week thing. We've got some big games coming up. We still got to play Madison, still got to play Cathedral, still got to go through our league. So there's a lot that has to happen, but I'd like to think we're off to a good start, and you guys are off to a good start, so hopefully we can make the matchup happen. But, if it could be a Snapdragon, that'd be awesome. But we just got to control what we can control, and, until that point happens.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So let's get back to the arena, head coach. Let's put back on your head coach hat. You made an interesting transaction. I didn't know in arena that there's like real trades and transactions and pickups and all that, like the league, man. Like y'all really do a lot. So I think you guys came out to a slow start, and you guys had to make some changes. So you guys got the quarterback, and I think his name is Nate.
Yep, Nate Davis.
And this dude is, I'm telling you guys need to go to a game. This dude wears a knee brace, and he's just a straight pocket passer. He doesn't really want to run, and he just drops dots, like just precision dots. Y'all got to go watch this dude, man. He is a hell of a quarterback. You know what I'm saying? But how did you end up getting him? Like, what did you do to get him, and how did you make that whole deal happen? Was that you, or was it somebody else in the front office?
It was me. So, you know, at the NFL level, you know, the GM does all that kind of stuff. At this level, you know, our GM does like kind of all the business side. I'm director of player personnel. So I handle all the trades and signings and all that. I'm going to be honest with you. You know, we had to make a change at quarterback. Rudy actually wasn't on the roster at the time. Mm-hmm. We all know how busy he is, and our practice schedule didn't quite work for him at the time. Yeah. So believe it or not, I traded both quarterbacks away and a D lineman, and ended up acquiring Nate from Duke City. Duke City's the Albuquerque team. And Nate didn't play the first game for when we traded him. So I made a call. Hey, Rudy. And that's that double overtime game. Yeah. And, you know, we had an agreement that he was going to play that game. Nate was going to come in and he was going to be the starter, and Rudy's going to be the backup, do some short yardage stuff and all that. But Nate came in and really kind of just changed the trajectory of our organization. You know what I mean? We started playing really well offensively. Our receivers were playing lights out. You know, if your quarterback's playing well, obviously your O-line's playing well. And we just had a huge spark as a team, especially offensively. And you know, Nate, he had the Triple Crown winner at receiver, you know, receptions, yards, and touchdowns, and Kentrez Bell.
Is that 15?
That's 15.
Yeah, he's a guy.
He's awesome. You know, we had Carlos Thompson. He's someone from Last Chance U, if you guys watched that, from Indy.
That's why I kept seeing the coach, because I used to sit in a little spot, and that's why that coach was. I used to wonder, why is he at the games all the time? Yep. Is he just in the arena? Because I think he said he played arena in Last Chance U. So I'm like, is he just here, just following arena, just? But that's why he was there watching him. So
yeah, JB's a friend of mine, and obviously he coached Carlos. So you know, he's a real good dude, and he was coming out to support. He ain't coming to watch me. He was coming to watch Carlos. But you know, we have another Last Chance U name that we just offered, not from Indy, but I just signed Ronald Ollie last week. If you guys remember him from the first season, so we got him coming in. I don't know what it is about these Last Chance U players. You know, they somehow end up on our roster, but. Yeah, and then our other receiver we had was Marquise Rogers, and he is the guy that you'd remember from 2019 that's been with the Strike Force the whole time. But Nate just got these guys to flourish in our offense, and, you know, a lot of coaches don't understand. I let Nate call his own plays. We put the game plan together. I don't know if there is a quarterback and coach combo in the league that prepares as much as we do. You know, we're watching film till like 2 a.m. You got to tell me, hey, bro, you got to go to sleep. You got Helix at like 6:30 in the morning. I'm like, no, I'm good. I don't need sleep. I don't got any kids or anything I got to deal with. You know what I'm saying? I'll be up. But, yeah, so Nate is definitely a staple to our organization, and we're happy to get him back this year.
Yeah, like I said, he got a fan out of me. He made me become a fan because he can sling it. He throws dots, accurate. He'll take a hit in the pocket, you know, get up, talk a little trash. A little Phillip Rivers. You got that Phillip Rivers in him. But I mess with him, though. You know, I fucks with him. We talked about you coaching high school and indoor at the same time. How do you balance all that?
No wife, no kids.
Yeah, you did say that, huh?
That's pretty much it. That's, you know, I love it. You know, this is a part of my life where I feel like I can kind of dive all into this coaching thing. And, you know, I'm trying to move up as a coach, whether it's at the college level, the professional level. So I'm just trying to put myself in the best situation to have some success. And I love it, to be honest. You know, the coolest thing that I've seen specifically from this year was my Helix kids going to our games. And then when the season's over, some of my guys that stuck around for a few weeks going to Helix and training with our guys. So the mix of the community, Shoot, I'm not gonna lie, it makes me like kind of tear up thinking about like how cool these guys are because you know my little backup quarterback at Helix, he got in there against St. Francis and he told me, he's like, hey, come see me on the sideline after I score. I said, okay, what you got going on? And he scored a touchdown. He comes over and hits our little strike force dance. It's our little wave, you know what I mean? So just the fact that my guys have a little bit of an influence on these high school kids is really it shows me that my vision for what we're trying to do is starting to take off. So that's what I love most about it.
Got you. Nah, man, you're doing it the right way. You know what I'm saying? Appreciate it. Get some of those guys to come to some Lincoln games too, man. Don't hog them, man. Tell them to come to some Lincoln games too. We'll let it have them.
That's what we want. We want you guys to come to our games. You know what I'm saying? We want to go support every team in the community and stuff like that. We don't have a whole lot of players in town right now, so that's kind of the tough part.
I get it. I'm just saying,
definitely.
just in case.
100%. Hey, and what's up, man? Hey, any Lincoln alumni, out there that wants to play some indoor? We had Victor Dean in 2019.
That's right.
Vic was out there running some routes for us. So, any of those Lincoln guys want to keep the career going, send them my way.
Okay, so
the biggest thing, we'll start if you're a local player. I try to make practice either as late at night as possible or as early in the morning as possible because you're not making a career living playing indoor football. So I try to give you guys a chance part of the day to be able to work and do all that kind of stuff and it not be right smack dab in the middle of the day assuming, oh, yeah, you just play for us for this money. You can't do anything else, especially in a city like San Diego. It's expensive. Like, we pay for our players' housing and their food and stuff like that, but it's still California. So we want guys to be able to go get their jobs. I never promise players I'll help you find a job, but if a player reaches out to me like, hey, coach, here's my resume. Can you help me? Absolutely. But I'm not going to help any of my guys that don't truly want to work, which is fine. If you don't want to work, hey, it's all good. But the guys that want to work, we'll help them find a little something. And if you're a local player, what we do is, we still give you some food and we give you guys a little extra to help with your rent and stuff like that. So that's what we're able to do as an organization. And when it comes to if you have dreams of moving up, which most of my guys do, I'm not going to pretend to have all the contacts in the NFL, XFL, CFL, USFL, but I'll tell you what, all my friends do. So my friends are helping me. I'll send my list of guys to them. They help get it out. I've gotten cool with a lot of agents and a lot of scouts and all that kind of stuff. So my biggest thing is I want to see our guys not come back the next year. Now, Nate's a little different circumstance. You know what I mean? He's going to be doing this for a little bit. But for a lot of the young guys, my goal is to not see you again next year. And if you do got to come back next year, let's not make it a habit. So that's my biggest thing is just helping guys try to find a home. But I never promise them anything. I just promise them I'm going to work my tail off to help them.
I think that's all they could ask for. So you're doing a hell of a job, Coach.
I appreciate it.
Doing a hell of a job. That's pretty much everything that I had to talk about. Like I said, once again, I appreciate you coming out, doing this interview for the podcast. You kind of helped me motivate. You kind of helped motivate me to put this thing into motion. So once again, I appreciate it. And anything you need, don't be afraid to holler at me. You know what I'm saying? Question about some defense or something. Like I said, man, we locked in for life. So appreciate what you're doing in the community. Keep on doing it. Good luck what you're doing with the strike force. And anything else you want to say?
I really appreciate you having me first and foremost. And same thing, we're locked in. This coaching world is small, and if we look out for each other, everything's going to be good. And, on air while everybody sees this, hey, man, if you want to be a part of the strike force in any way, you're more than welcome. We'd love to have you. I know you're a great defensive mind. So, yeah, if you want an opportunity to work with us in any capacity, hey, man, here you go. It is documented.
Hey, I appreciate it, man. We'll talk, man. We'll holler. But like I said, I appreciate you coming on the show, man.
Absolutely.
And good luck this season.
Thank you, my man. You as well.
Yes, sir.